Hello YouTube. I want to apologize in advance for if I do any blabbering because I'm doing these videos without a script. So therefore I might talk nonsense once in a while. Anyhow, I did go and picked up my new PCBs from PCBway.com. Thank you to them. And they do ship with the DHL. Unfortunately, DHL in Bulgaria just plain sucks. It takes like 2 days from China to Bulgaria, and it takes 7 days from Sofia, which is 600 kilometers from me, to arrive. And not that it's not bad enough, I have to go drive 50 or something miles, 80 kilometers to be exact, to the next bigger city and pick up the PCBs myself, and have to go to customs, have them fill out the papers, go to the bank, pay the custom fees and whatnot, go back to customs and go back to DHL, pay them again, and then finally pick up the PCBs. Anyhow, long story short, that's what I'm going through to just get the PCBs in a faster way than regular air shipping, which can take anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks. So as I'm mostly impatient, I go with the DHL option, although I do not like it at all. PCBway just did a great job again on the PCBs, as you can see on what's on the table. That's my Stealth Racer with a matte black finish and Enig, of course, so I get the nice gold writing. And this is the top. It has a display which is put in there quite nicely. It's a tight fit. It was a little loose on my first version. I did it on the OLED scope. There it had no play, of course. Once it's soldered in, it doesn't play around, but it just had some gaps on the sides. And if you see it, it is quite a bit smaller now, and the display just fits in there perfectly. And this is how it looks on the bottom. I just taped the display so it won't fall out. And here you can see it. It's not finished yet. I did not solder it yet, and I will show you something else in a second. And this is my version of a third wheel. This is actually from a micro switch that I took, and as you can see, it turns quite nicely. So instead of the how they calling the ball bearings, the casters, which are like huge and look ugly, I made it this way, and it rides on top of that. So this is my version of doing it, but it was a pain in the butt to get a hole in this. Drilling it, you can forget it. It's just some kind of hardened steel. So I punched a hole in it, and from both sides, so it won't mar the metal too much, or not at all actually. And this is how I did it. As you can see, it works nice. There's no bearings, there's just some washers in there. And since I have the self-locking nuts, I kept it loose. The screw itself is tight, but the third wheel is loose, so this will fit. It has 2 microcontrollers. One is for the robot itself, and the second one is just for this. Here you can choose to either have a Knight Rider light, a Larsen scanner, or my my police light code on there, which I will make with 2 red, 2 white and 2 blue most likely, and the Larsen scanner will be all red. So that will be that. It will have a dual LiPo battery. I went that way to have the batteries smaller so they can fit in here. And grab something here. These are the connection pads for the LiPo battery. This is the motor controller, and these pins are for the motors itself that get connected to. It will have, that's what I'm waiting for, a DC jack. I think it's 2.1mm DC jack, and it has onboard charging, 2S LiPo charging. It's run on 7.2 volts, and so it will be charged from here. And this is it for the Stealth Racer, my version of a line following robot. It has a, as you see, OLED display, and you will have these tiny, I can hardly grab them, switches on the front, the metal switches for the menu, and you can select all, I just lost the switch, here it is. You can select all parameters for the line following robot on this. This will also be able to be used as a maze solving robot, so you can of course through the pins here upload and change the code as you like. This has also an on-off switch just for the LED lights, so if you're not using it as a robot and have it sitting on your table and want something to blink and flash, you can do that as well. So this is my line following robot called the Stealth Racer. As you see, it's flat black. It's invisible to radar if you're speeding too fast. Of course, that's a joke. Anyhow, this was it. Stealth Racer. Which one should I show? Okay, this is my new CNC controller for my pick and place machine, and I will also use it on my new mini mill with 4 real axis, so I can, that's what you need on the PNP for the rotating head, and with this I can also make a rotating 4th axle for the mini mill. So this is purple. I don't know if the colors are a little off with my phone, and it's not Oshpark, it is PCBway.com. Although Oshpark seemed to be liked by many people, I do not like him because of a simple, very small detail, and that is the, I think they're called mouse holes that they use to separate or hold the PCBs together, and you will have those small inclinations on the edge of the PCB, and I don't like it. I want it to be nice, smooth, straight, and whatever shape I want to have it. As you can see here also, there is no milling marks on this whatsoever. The only thing is, of course, since the drill bit or the milling bit has a diameter, if you go in a corner you will have a very slight roundness to it. Here I will just leave it. Here I did take it out. I just filed it away in a couple of seconds, so the display will fit in nicely. And I wanted to keep it tight. As you see, there's still some light shimmering through, but that's mostly because the display is made of glass and it collects the light. So anyhow, this is my new CNC controller based on the XMega chip, and it will have, of course, again PMW output, relay output for the spindle enable. It has all those small little things, level shifters. Since the XMega runs on 3.3 volts, it will upshift the signals to 5 volts. You can use the included drivers, which are output here, or you can use without the drivers with just the signals if you have like bigger stepper drivers that you need to use. It also has RC circuits on all inputs. These have 2 inputs per axis for min and minimum and maximum value. So as you know, Gerbil only has 1 input per axis, so you can have 2 switches, but it doesn't know if it's the minimum or maximum value. So this is my Gerbil board. Anyhow, this is the new PCB, and I really like, I just love them. There's just nothing wrong with these. There is absolutely nothing wrong with these PCBs. my hair, I'm sorry. As you get older you lose more hair, for anybody that wants to know it. Anyhow, of course it has onboard USB and everything. It has also 3 voltages, 12 volt. It will have the holes here are for a fan that will cool the DRV 8825 stepper drivers, and it has LEDs wherever I can put them, so this will light up like a Christmas tree. Anyhow, and let me show you something else. Okay, I ordered some stencils for this, because if I'm gonna start doing this by hand, and that's just impossible to put solder paste on there by hand. That's just not possible, simple as that. So I got some stencils that I ordered also, and these are like $10 each. And for the advantage you have with these, it's definitely a no-brainer. If you have anything, even if it's a simple board, get stencils. I have no stencils for this as of right now, and it takes me like 20-25 minutes to apply solder paste to this, and you can have it done in 2 seconds. So stencil is the way to go. What I did also, since I have the mounting holes here, I put them on the stencil file also, the mounting holes, and I will make a jig for this with 4 pins sticking out of here, and then I can just place the stencil on top and it will be perfectly aligned. Just putting it on there, it will be aligned. As you can see, I'm trying to align this right now with through the camera, and it's a little difficult because of the wheel. Okay, now you see it's aligned. It's perfectly aligned, and it will not shift, it will not do anything. And with this, you put your solder paste on the side and swipe it over it, and you are done. And then of course my hopefully soon to be ready PNP machine will be putting all the parts on here by itself like magic, and then I throw it into my high-tech $5 reflow oven and have this done in no time. This will make my life so much easier. I still could kick myself every day or every time I'm using my reflow oven. I did make the PCBs for at least 2-3 years with hand soldering all those SMD parts, and it was just a pain. It was unbelievable work. It took for ages, and I was using my glasses and the magnifying glass, and it was just awful. So definitely, who wants to get into PCB making, I can only recommend a stencil, and get yourself a cheap reflow oven. It's not a reflow, it's a toaster oven. And you can get a reflow controller for it, or just do it by eyeballing it, and as soon as the solder paste starts flowing and you see that all of them have reflown, you turn it off, take it out, and you're done. So stencil is the way to go. And you can see here all the markings and info and whatnot. So this is obviously a 0.12 millimeter stencil. You can get them thicker as well for if you have larger pads, I guess, I don't know. But this is what I will use it with. And where did I put it? Of course, and the stencils come in between these particle board or whatever they're called, so they won't get damaged or whatever during the shipping. And this is actually my stencil for the Stealth Racer, and I have some more boards here. And here I did the same. I have mounting holes for the motors, for the holders of the motors, and I have the same holes here. So I will just align the holes or put the stencil on the pins and it will be aligned by itself. So this will make my life so much easier. Okay, let me show you the next. My next PCB was this guy here. And as you can see, this is the Z-axis for my pick and place machine. And I put my name and email and whatnot on here. So normally you would mill something like this out of aluminium and then mount it. Since my mini mill is not ready yet, I had to come up with another idea, and this was it. And let me show you the finished, almost finished version. And this is this guy. See, now I have my motor mounted. Don't mind the screws, I'm just holding the PCBs together for it right now, as it will get some additions. I have my rail, I have my sliding block, and I have my limit switches. That's one advantage you have on a PCB. You can have traces on it. Who would figure that? So now I have my limit switch integrated with LED visual indicator, and I made this with a USB plug. Of course you're not gonna use it directly connected to your USB port, but I have some separate USB male plugs, and I will wire them to a 5-pin cable and then connect that to my CNC controller. So this is it. Of course you will have your belt on here in between, and that will drive the block, and onto the block comes the nozzle head, the SMD head. So this will be mounted like this. This piece in between, because the holes do not match, I wish they made the holes to match this one, then it would be just perfect plug and play or screw together and play, but unfortunately the holes do not match up, so I have to make a separate piece in between, and that's why I bought the mini mill just for this one piece, because I knew I'm gonna make this one like that because it's so much easier, plus I could integrate my limit switches into it. So this will be my Z-axis head for the pick and place machine. And the last but not least is my new single frame for the 1.3 inch display I'm having, and this time I made it in white and anic. Because I choose anic, not that it's gonna look better, which it does, but trying to get my other ones here. On the silver one you can see there is like slight bubbling, because once they put the silver on it, it's not gonna be perfect straight. So this is the reason why I went with anic this time, and it's just perfectly flat, and it looks like this once it's mounted on a PCB, or not on a PCB, on a display. So this is my GPS that can go into GoPro, and because of the GoPro waterproof case I designed this in the first place. So otherwise I would have to make this somehow fit in there and not move around. With this it just fits in there, and I just put a piece of foam in the back, and then this thing is tied in here. So it does not move, it's weatherproof, you can use it on your motorcycle, boat, or wherever you want. And since there are a couple versions of the GoPro cases, I do not sell them. I have a few for anybody that wants them from me, but you can just get the GPS and get the option with 1.3 inch display, choose white or blue, and get the frame for it. So that is that, and if you're not using it for the GPS, you can turn it around and use it for anything else, as there's no lettering on here. Same goes for the spectrum analyzer. That's for my stereo version. If you turn it around, you can use it for any other two displays. So as you see, the display on here is mounted in the back, from the back, but on the Stealth Racer and my upcoming V-Gauge, it will be mounted from the back. And I'm currently working almost non-stop on my V-Gauge. I'm trying to make this routed only on one side, so I won't have any traces in the front. Not that they bother or are bad or something. I just want to have the front clean as possible. But at the moment I'm struggling with it because it's not that easy, because of the, if I would mount the displays on top of the PCB, I would have all that real estate underneath. But since those are holes, I cannot route them, so obviously. And this is the connector, the flat flexible wire connector, which will connect the front and let me pick another piece, the back PCB together. So it will actually unfold like this, and it will be easier for me to assemble, and if anything happens, you can get a new front or new back or whatever. Anyhow, this is my upcoming V-Gauge that I'm working on. And I just figured out today, actually, while I was writing an email to a friend, I figured the perfect way to make the dock, but I will explain that on another video related to the V-Gauge. This is about the PCBs from PCBWay. Those were actually made by Electro, I think. I'm not sure who made it, PCBWay or Electro, but the silver, it's not the fault of the fab house, it's just the way that it's, I mean, it's poured on there, and it's not as flush or straight or even as Enik is. So definitely will make some of the double ones also, and probably also in white, and make this one in black also. So some people prefer black, some white, so I will have everybody covered. And is there anything else? I'm sure I'm forgetting something again, but I think this was it. I will make individual videos where you can see all these gadgets and things in a working order, so I can promote them better. But this was just to show the different styles and designs of PCBWay, including the stencils. And let me show you the Stealth Racer PCB again. This I don't know if it's gonna look okay on the video, but in person this flat black or matte black just looks awesome. Now I can understand people who like that much, and combined with the Enik gold traces, which I not cover of course for the names. You can put anything on there, your name, logo, or whatever you like. And the milling itself, it's smooth. I did not do anything to it yet. On some PCBs you get the edge, which is actually, you can hear it. See how rough it is there? And here, let me put on the table. You can hardly, it's just perfectly smooth. It is perfectly smooth, and you can, as you see here, cut any shape that you like. I did this like the Stealth Bomber, and it has no curves. It's mostly made of straight lines, so the radar won't pick on it and won't get reflected back. So that's why I made this one square everywhere. But you will see on my V-gauge that I will have a rounded edge on the top, and I am 100% sure it will come out as beautiful as these PCBs. These are really nice. It's like I don't know, I'm thinking of making business cards with PCBs made out of 0.8mm PCB in white with gold lettering, and just put my email, my Tindy page, my YouTube page on there, and maybe make a QR code also on the back of it with black silk screen, and just give it out to people. I don't know that many people that will get it here, but I might just send them out as thank yous or gags or whatever. But this is just, I don't know, it is beautiful, guys. This is like my most favorite PCB as of now, but it will get surpassed by the V-gauge. As a small side note, I will make the V-gauge in matte black and also with red, so it will call it racing red for the red version and midnight black for the matte black version. As you might have seen, my All Decade PCB is red, and this red also looks just awesome, and it will be a nice touch. So anybody who's like a car nut or crazy, as I am actually also, so they might want to go with the red. And actually I wrote it the other way to my friend. I said the crazy car nut guys, they will go for the red, and gentlemen as we are, we go with the matte black. So since I'm over 50, I can count myself as a gentleman. Anyhow, this was it. I hope you're still with me. I just see the video is already over 27 minutes long, so I do apologize if it took too long, and hope you made it this far. Thanks for watching, and take care, everybody.